Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Rewind podcast. And I am your co-host, Dylan Stoll. I'm joined, as always, by my friend, Michael Whifford.
It's me.
So it's just the two of us again today, and so what we are going to be talking about is Geekend, or is it Geekend Weekend, or is it
Geek Week?
Geek Week, okay.
Yeah, Netflix Geek, it's Geeked
Week. Okay, I knew it wasn't just straight Geek Week. But yeah, we're talking about Geeked Week right now. So what we're going to be talking about are just a couple of the updates we got from upcoming awesome fantasy shows Netflix will be producing this fall and later this summer for some of them. So without further ado, let's jump into our traditional reminders here. So if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can do so on Twitter at Fantasy Rewind. If you want to get at us on Instagram, you can do that at Fantasy Rewind Pod. And if you just want to send us an email rather than go through the hassle of social media, you can do that it's fantasyrewindpod at gmail.com. Oh my goodness. I'm on one right now. So, without further ado, Mike, let's get started with this Geeked Week discussion.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, like Dylan said, this is run through Netflix, and throughout the week they do a focus on different things. So Monday, June 6th, they focused on different series. So things like The Umbrella Academy, The Sandman, which we're going to be discussing, Resident Evil, One Piece, a lot of different shows that they're doing. Tuesday, they did films, where they unveiled things like The Gray Man. They gave a teaser trailer for The School for Good and Evil, and a couple other things. Wednesday's animation. Thursday, Stranger Things. And then Friday is games, which I'm not quite sure what that's going to be about, but we'll find out. Today, we're really just going to be focusing on the series and the films. Now, the series, we really want to keep it focused on the fantasy stuff. We're going to probably put away a lot of the horror stuff and not talk about that, though. I think it is cool that Netflix picked up Resident Evil.
I'm excited about that.
I'm not a big horror person, so
I am.
Not quite my cup of tea, but Dylan's all about it. I still probably will watch it. I've watched the other Resident Evil, like most of the movies. Some of them were good, some of them not so much. You know what I would really like them to pick up, though, if we're talking about horror and kind of like Resident Evil back when it was first released? Underworld.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love for an Underworld series. That would be awesome. And I think that like universe is really rife to get brought back. Maybe it's even just in the future or something else, because that's another movie franchise that started out really strong and then it kind of
yes, agreed.
Got a little diluted. Which, by the way, amazing song from one of the movies. I don't remember if it was the first or second one by Atreyu. Music video with it in it, and I'll always remember that. Love it. Anyway, we're going to get started here with The Sandman, which is a series I am extremely passionate about. I've read the graphic novels a couple times. Finally just broke down and this year bought the entire set. And I just went through and I read them all again, and they still hold up. Now, it is an older series, and Dylan, I just lent him some of my copies, and it's definitely evident in the art style and everything else. And even the first couple issues, call back to DC, have some DC characters in it, which is kind of weird, because it was on the same. It was a part of DC at first before it moved over, I think, to Vertigo. I'm not quite. Don't quote me on that. So the Sandman series is by Neil Gaiman, who is also the author of American Gods. Oh, gosh. Too many things, really.
Good Omens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's that? Coraline.
Yeah, Coraline.
I'm pretty sure he wrote Coraline, too. He's done a lot of stuff. Norse mythology was another book he did. He's a super, uber talented writer. American Gods, honestly, is an amazing book. Love that series, too. And the show is really good, at least this first season. I didn't watch second season yet, but I do have it.
I have season 1 and 2, but I have not watched them yet. The book, though, American Gods, definitely like that.
Oh, yeah. It's such a good book. And they're making Anansi Boys into a series as well. And that is also, it's a spin-off kind of from American Gods.
Yep.
Sad, though, I think American Gods got canceled.
It did. Got the axe.
Which is...
a lot of production difficulties, a lot of actor drama, but that's okay.
Yeah. It had a pretty expansive cast. So anyway, Sandman, the Sandman series by Neil Gaiman, really focuses on the entity Dream, and kind of his family, which Dream, Death, Desire, Despair, and Delirium.
And Dylan. And lots Destiny. Of D's.
Yes, lots of D's. And Destiny. Did I say Destiny already?
I think you just said Destiny at the end.
Yeah, well, Destiny would approve of that message anyway. So it focuses on them, and there's another sibling, too, who you don't find out about. And I don't really want to say here because it is in the series. You don't find out who it is until, like, book 6 or 7 or 8. I don't remember which. But it was kind of a cool, like, thing. Also, spoiler, starts with a D, though. You know, if you didn't catch that theme.
It's Dylan.
Yes, Dylan. Absolutely. He's here with us now. So tell us about your family. No, just kidding. So it focuses on Dream, and who is traveling, and he gets captured in this spell, and there's all this fallout because the Dream realm, which he runs, goes into kind of chaos or disrepair. Disrepair. Yeah, disrepair. While he's, captured, essentially. And it's sort of his, at first, at least in that first book, it's sort of his, like, comeback to, or, like, he has to go back and fix things, get all of his items that help him run his realm that he's imbued with, like, pieces of himself. And it's just such a complicated story to really just try to explain in one little bit here. But that's kind of the at least first bit synopsis that you'll get into. And when you watch the trailer, which they released, and they gave us a release date, which I'm so excited for, but so sad at the same time, because August is just going to be...
August is going to be a killer month.
I mean, I hope we don't have any other plans because, like, watching 5 different shows, apparently, throughout August. But, yeah, it's releasing on Netflix August 5th. I'm hoping the whole series gets dropped. That would be amazing. But I would not cry if they did kind of break it up because it looks so good.
It looks great.
I mean, like, as somebody who's read these books and who's seeing these images and seeing, like, the actor, honestly, and I have his name, which I'll butcher, sorry in advance, but Tom Sturridge, like, with the makeup and everything else, like, looks just like Dream. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, so I just want to chime in here really quick because, like Mike said, he lent me the first 3 books of Sandman, but I haven't had a chance to read them yet. My plan is to read them before the series actually comes out. I'm excited to do that. But just watching the trailer, like, even as somebody that's quite unfamiliar with this series, other than knowing that Mike absolutely loves it, I was pretty blown away by what I saw by it. It looks visually amazing. Like, the storyline, you kind of got a sense of that. Like, you talked about how Dream was, like, captured, and then, like, he needed to go back and fix things and everything. And you got all of that kind of exposition through the trailer here. And just, like, looking at some of the scenes that were even in the trailer, like, the few pieces of artwork I've seen from Sandman, like, of him, like, kind of bent back in front of, like, the glowing thing there. Like, it looks like it was taken straight out of the comics and brought right onto the screen there. So definitely exciting for me to get started on this series, but also to learn more about this TV show, and pretty pumped for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think thinking about the casting, I think they did such a great job nailing a lot of these people. Like Gwendolyn Christie, I know a lot of that's kind of a bit of a controversial thing as she is Lucifer. I thought she looked great. I mean, all of the siblings. Kirby Howell-Baptiste as Death, she looked awesome. Mason Alexander Park as Desire. I was like, wait, is that Lady Gaga? Like, no, but, oh, man, so good. Boyd Holbrook as Corinthian. And for those of you who don't know, like, obviously Death, Desire, Lucifer, those are all pretty straightforward. Corinthian is one of the nightmares. And in the trailer, you kind of see, like, blood going down his eyes. And I don't think this is, like, too much of a spoiler, but if you don't want to hear a little bit about him, you can skip ahead, like, 30 seconds or 15 seconds. He has, instead of eyes, he has teeth, like little mouths that just have teeth. And he feeds on people's eyes. And that's this whole thing. And you'll get to that, Dylan, I think by the end of book 1, book 2, maybe book 3. It's definitely in those first couple books. But and then one of the castings I'm really excited for, because I'm like, yes, this is perfect. Mark Hamill will be voicing Merv, and he is not a nightmare. He's like a dream character that lives and maintains the dream realm. He's this sort of wisecracking, like, not janitor, but handyman. And he's a pumpkin-headed scarecrow, pretty much, who smokes cigars all the time. So I think Mark Hamill's just going to, like, take that role and run with it, and it's going to be great.
I love Mark Hamill's voice acting. Like, the stuff that he's done is far beyond just Luke Skywalker. Yeah, like, his Joker was amazing.
So good. So I think they've done a really good job with like the casting, and I'm hoping, like, and it looks, at least in the trailer, that they're really going to be sticking very closely to the source material. Outside of, like, some gender swaps for some of the, like, as I'm sure people may bring up, like, this wasn't this character, or this character wasn't a woman in the book. Like, outside of swapping some of the characters, genders, or at least perceived genders, I think it looks like it's going to hold pretty true to the source material. And I think Neil Gaiman at least was involved quite a bit with the series, so I'm excited, but I digress.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, Dylan, on Sandman?
On Sandman, no. Other than, like you said, August 5th is the release date for Sandman. And so we're going to have House of the Dragon, we're going to have Rings of Power, we're going to have Sandman, all coming to us right in August, and that's all that we know about right now. Who knows what else might come up and give us an August full of fantasy. So it's going to be a fantasy-filled fall. I'm excited for it all, though. And I am pumped to, like I said, get into the Sandman universe. The other little bit of news that we have out of the Netflix announcement here is that Shadow and Bone has wrapped for season 2, or wrapped production for season 2.
Yeah,
so
really exciting.
They are done filming. They are getting ready. No news yet on a release date. But I have just started reading the book 2 of that series, which is Siege and Storms. So I am looking forward to finishing that well ahead of whenever season 2 of Shadow and Bone comes out on Netflix, and seeing how it is as a book reader with the show coming at me.
Agreed. I'm excited to see how that story progresses as well. And I'm excited to see, as we read the book and we're getting it just probably from Starkov's perspective there, versus the show, which is going from, almost like 3 different directions.
Right.
So it'll be neat to see those differences and what else kind of piles up as we keep going. But yeah, that's wrapped. Just a couple other things. Like, one, Dylan's not going to care too much about this. I do, though. I've been slowly working through the One Piece anime, and I've really enjoyed it. It's, for those who know about One Piece, it's like the longest running anime series. It's still going. It still has the episodes going. But they're doing a live action. And while I'm very hesitant about it, because typically live action anime movies...
not so great.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z, terrible. Trying to think what else live action...
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, gosh, don't even talk about that movie.
M. Night Shyamalan to your
so
rescue.
bad. So bad. Oh, gosh. Oh, nightmares. But I'm very hesitant about it because I think it'll be corny and, whatever else. But that's okay. The set pictures they did, though, it looks fantastic. And even if you're not a fan, like, you should see what they're doing with the, like, ships and the different sets, because it just looks phenomenal.
It looks very cool.
Yeah, the amount of effort that's going into that is just fantastic. It's really mind-blowing. I also wanted to bring up that Sweet Tooth. I think season 2 finish. Yeah, I didn't watch season 1. I know it's a graphic novel, and I do want to watch it. I don't even really know too much about it, but it's one that I do plan on.
See, that's a show where, like, I didn't even realize it had a source material at first, because, like, I just saw the show come out on Netflix here. Amy and I watched the trailer for it, and we both said, that looks interesting, but we haven't had a chance to watch it yet. And so I might jump in on that as well because it looks very cool. Looks very different from anything we've experienced yet. I know it is kind of like a post-apocalyptic world with like DNA kind of being a part of it and stuff, but other than that, I don't know much about it, and I kind of like that. So I might just go in blind and see how that goes. Other than that, we had the Lord of the Rings of Power Empire spread that came out recently there to some mixed reactions. But we got confirmation of Celebrimbor in the show, which that's exciting.
Who's the creator of the rings.
Yeah, the creator of the Rings of Power for the elves there. And so I'm excited just to know that he is going to indeed be included in the show. It is called Rings of Power after all. So I was expecting him to be present in there. But, I mean, we're just getting more and more information about that series as we get closer and closer to August. I still am cautiously optimistic about it. Not the biggest Amazon fans with what they've done with Wheel of Time. However, I still, am going to give this show a legitimate chance before I condemn it dead on arrival.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think everyone can look forward to us at least doing episode breakdowns for The Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, The House of Dragons, and
Sandman.
That's definitely in the immediate future as we're moving forward there. I do have to say, I didn't know the Empire piece had come out, and you told me about it, Dylan, and we were looking at those images together, and that is, I think you were saying probably the most controversial thing was Celebrimbor.
Yes, there was a lot of comparisons to that photo that was released in the Empire spread of Celebrimbor looking like Emperor Palpatine, and I just was laughing because it's so accurate.
That is really accurate.
That is, yes, he does not look how I would imagine, but
he does not have elvish qualities,
elvish features at all.
It should be almost agelessness, ageless.
But we saw how agelessness was handled with Wheel of Time, so not wanting to condemn the series dead on arrival, but I am cautiously optimistic, hoping that it's going to be enjoyable, and we'll see. I'm going to watch it regardless, so we will figure out how that comes about when we see it.
I mean, the nice thing for them, for the creators of the Rings of Power, really all they have to do is hit the big lore points.
Yep. And
how they get there is really kind of left up to them in a lot of ways. I mean, outside of big events, the in-between stuff, the small stuff, they can really do what they want with.
It is, but the thing that's really concerning to me about this is that if they wanted to make a show based in the Second Age, which is where this is going to be taking place, the Rings of Power, why did they buy the rights to Lord of the Rings and not Silmarillion, not the Book of Unfinished Tales, book, all of the stuff that actually has details from the Second Age? Why are they opting to create brand new things that were maybe footnotes and appendices within the Lord of the Rings, rather than create based on the source material? So that's one of my reservations on the series. But again, I do want to give this a fair shot. I do want to see it, and I am very, very interested.
Yeah. I will say, again, from the images, I loved, you could tell who was who. You could tell the dwarves were the dwarves.
Right.
You could tell that hard feet.
The Harfoots were hobbit-like creatures.
The hobbits.
Yes.
They were hobbits. Now, I will say, we did kind of discuss this. The reason they're probably including hobbits is because hobbits are synonymous with the Hobbit
with Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So they want to make as many connections to that series as possible. As we've seen, Amazon has made choices that don't necessarily reflect, how do I say this?
Faithfulness to the lore.
But
yes.
I mean, they want to make it, which I understand, they want to make as many connections as possible to the movies that were super successful, because that's how you're going to draw in a big audience.
Right. No, I feel like
I do want it to be successful.
I do
want it to be successful.
I do too. The thing that I am most disappointed in so far with the series just has been the images of the elves, actually. Not the other races, not the Harfoots, not the hobbits, not the dwarves. It was the elves, and that's what's been most disappointing for me so far. But again,
I'd agree. I will say that I think Galadriel looks really cool.
She looks very different.
Yes. Oh, she looks very different, but I think she looks cool, like warrior princess. Like, oh yeah, cool. But I think that's pretty much it for us on Geeked Week.
Yes, Geeked Week is done for us right now.
Yes, Geeked Week is done. Unless we get a lot of substantial news about Arcane or anything else over the next few days, I think that's going to be about it. We could probably just throw those into our next episode when we talk about that. Just want to throw in one last little bit here. They did talk about Lock and Key Season 3. It's not a show I've gotten into, nor a season or series. Like, I never read the graphic novels. But it's one I would be interested in checking out. If you guys have any news, or not necessarily any news, but any reactions to any of the trailers or recommendations from anything that you saw there, or even just on Netflix or any kind of streaming platform in terms of like a fantasy series that you think is worth checking out, please let us know. And you can hit us up on all our socials, which Dylan shared earlier. But that's going to be it for me, Dylan. Anything else you want to add?
No, so I do want to add in one more thing, I think, just like a little tease about something that might be coming. But we have we have had some conversations with a potential third guest for the show, which, if this all comes about, like I'm hoping it does, should be very awesome, and quite excited to see if it comes to fruition. Otherwise, we will be having a new book that you guys might not be as familiar with being discussed on the podcast in the future. But other than that, I'm going to leave it there. And this is Two Nerds signing off. Goodbye.
Bye.